Hello, everyone, and welcome to the season 6 premiere month of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer at jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. If you're listening to us on any of our audio platforms, please give us a 5-star rating and please download this episode and other episodes as well. I'm thrilled to welcome one of our very first guests on the season 6 premiere month. As of this recording, he has over 145,000 Instagram followers. He's the founder of the Miami-based creative and artistic representation agency Art Plug Collective, and his work has been featured on Forbes, Men's Journal, and the Miami Herald. So please help me welcome Marcel Katz to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Thank you for having me. Hey, everyone. How are you? Don't forget to rate and download these episodes and subscribe. He's got plenty more to come.
Thank you so much, Marcel. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for taking time in your schedule to talk with me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited to get started, and I'm excited to reveal some of the things that I have going on and answer some of your questions. Thank you, Jacob.
Awesome. So when did you get interested in art, and how did that passion evolve and desire to pursue a career in the industry?
Okay, so it all started as a kid. I was very curious and organically was into Legos and erector sets and building computers. It was kind of like an art form to build things and create things. I loved seeing a final product of something. I loved imagining something and making it come to life, whether it was clothing, a Lego building, a set that went around my room. I was fortunate growing up where I had these kinds of toys and resources that inspired me to get to this point. That's why I always encourage giving back and doing a lot of these holiday give backs where you're donating toys and donating some of these things for the youth so that they could be inspired and continue to create as they get older. But yeah, then, it turned into writing and practicing my creative skills. And then later on, this is, obviously 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As I got older, things started developing and I started playing video games. And that's when I started making computers and doodling. And then as computer science evolved, I started to do digital art. I really started to publicly do digital art in 2020. In 2020, I started to go viral with my first viral sticker on Giphy that hit 30 million views. I was shocked. I was like, this isn't even that good. I'm like, it's like 3 frames going like this. It says TAP. It ended up going viral. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to continue doing this. It's kind of cool. So I continue doing it. I'm at 4.3 billion views. Actually, just yesterday, I got a notification stating that I hit 4.3 billion. I get about 25 million views a week. It was a passion thing. I just loved it. And, 4 years later, one of the larger digital creators in the world. But yeah, it was inspired by my environment, the tools that I had growing up, and then just continuing on a creative pursuit of, and just never stopping.
That's amazing. And 4.3 billion views for a piece of digital artwork. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's insane, actually. One of the things that really touches me is the fact that some of these stickers, the ones that I usually do like the word nice or the word, let's say, election or vote, since we have this election coming up. And what happens is, let's say you get 30 million views on the word vote, and a small percentage of those people that see it are affected by or inclined to vote because they saw your sticker. That's the beauty of that art form. And it's interesting. Yeah. And it's that number is through 1.6K uploads. So I have 1,600 uploads. And together I have 4.3 billion. The sticker that's done the best has 330 million views.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Marcel, there must be some have you come up with a list of artists that inspired your work? Like, if, for example, if you had the opportunity to meet with my audience in person and they ask you that question, like, who are the artists that inspire your work? What artists would you name?
Salvador Dali would be the most inspirational to me. He had a quote that was really cool to me. He said, "I don't do drugs, I am drugs." And it just reminds you that you don't really need substances and exterior influences in order to be yourself and challenge yourself. A lot of people use the excuse of substance abuse and things like that in order to enhance their creativity. But the reality is you're actually more efficient and you'll be more creative when you're not on those substances. But for the most part, so, and I love Dali because he was a Spanish artist. He was obviously international. He went to New York. He excelled in New York. He was very, very out there. He had an anteater. He had a mustache like this. And I've gotten to work with the estate. He ended up passing away, but his estate continued to live his legacy. So he's one of the most iconic artists. I would say he's top 50 in the world. And he's known for surrealism. That's his style. Like Picasso's known for cubism. So his style was surrealism, and I like his work a lot. It's very like melting clock. It's like reality meets dream world type thing. That's his work style. Yeah.
I gotta say this, that's amazing to have the opportunity to work with the Salvador Dali estate. So what was your reaction to when you said, they contacted you and to work with you, Marcel?
That's a really good one. It's actually really fun. I thought they had the wrong number. I was like, what? I'm like, because they called me and they're like, you want to start selling Dali? And I'm like, because I was more of a street art and emerging artist and selling street art. I was more of a like secondary market, but not like, it wasn't necessarily like blue chip yet. And they had called me and I was like, this is crazy. This is a pretty big deal. Next thing I knew, I was like, I'm going to New York. I flew to New York, signed the contract with them, and ended up doing, about a year and a half later, I ended up doing a 6-month exhibition with Dali here in Miami for the first show ever in Miami. That was covered by like Forbes, University of Miami newspaper, Sun Sentinel, tons of magazines and media outlets. And yeah, it was 6 months long with the Hyatt, which is a really cool partnership. I had him put me on the website. This is great with a bird. It was me holding a bird, a cat, and a dog in a photo, like all together. Like how I got the bird. The Hyatt was like, they're like, yo, like you can't do that. I'm like, well, yeah, I can. I'm the artist. I can kind of do whatever. I'm not hurting anyone. It's cool. It shows diversity. It shows that we love animals. It shows a lot of things. So they were like, okay, whatever. I kind of like forced them to let me do it. So then on the banner of the site, they had me on the website. It's like, it had the Hyatt like banner with me with the pigeon and the cat and the dog. It was so funny. And it was very Dali-esque, because he was kind of like that. I still laugh about it. I have photos. I got to send them to you. You can Google it, actually. If you Google that, you Google Salvador Dali Marcel Katz Hyatt or just Salvador Dali Marcel Katz, you'll see the image. So good. But yeah.
So guys, Google it after we're done with our conversation. So I gotta say this, while you bring up the Hyatt, you've also worked with an all-star group of brands, including the Atlantic Records, Lyft, Red Bull, and a Universal Music Group. So what have been some of your most memorable projects with them?
I mean, it's the biggest one. The one that I think had the biggest impact for me was the one where I had the monster trucks and the police impound, because I rented a police impound, and I had these monster trucks crushing art cars, and I just threw like a fine art show, but in a police impound. I had to clear all the cars, and it was kind of almost like a junkyard. It was very cool. It was like out of the scene of Breaking Bad, And then I had a trap house in there, but I also had like the trap house, which was like a fake gallery with an actor, and you'd walk in and the guy would greet you, and he was like the fake ex-boyfriend of all these pop stars from back in time, like the Keith Harings and the Basquiats and the Warhols. And he's like, yeah, so Basquiat gave me this one because I used to date him, and then Warhol was jealous, so he gave me this piece. And then he gives you like a tour with his wig and stuff around the back, and you realize it's a forgery. They're making fake.
That's incredible.
Excuse me, lost you. But yeah, it was. They realized as the customers come around back, you realize it's a forgery, and they're making fake art, right? So aspect of We had like 4,000 or 5,000 people there. It got a lot of attention, and it turned into something that was one of the first times that anyone's ever done something like that. It kind of changed the way people started doing art shows. It's more, it was like there's a demographic that likes the outside of the box type of experience versus going to see art on a white wall, and it's kind of like the same thing over and over. So yeah, that was my favorite one, or one of the most notable ones. But we've also done, shows where we have motorcycles flying and on roofs of buildings with lights on them, and they're decorated, and that was a really amazing partnership. But yeah, I mean, we're always looking to expand and do more concepts like this. Like, there's a surplus of ideas that we have, and we're going to be executing some of these things in the future. So definitely stay tuned and follow the Art Plug and Jacob, because he's definitely going to be helping us announce some things. So yeah, I mean, I think those two for sure.
Well, first of all, I'm very honored that you said that I'm going to help. I'm going to help you guys with the announcements. So that's pretty cool. So this will be a really cool project for 2025. So I would love to learn about about the origin story of the Art Plug Collective.
Okay. So yeah, well, it actually really started in like 2013. I was managing artists. Well, actually, wasn't even managing them. I was just friends with artists. I worked in nightlife. I was just plugging them away with different connections, bringing them into an industry that wasn't really doing much. It wasn't commercializing, or it wasn't really crossing with art, like the nightclub scene, day clubs and things like that. And I happened to work for a big hospitality group. So I started plugging artists with hotels, nightclubs, things like that, right? Then I started becoming, having the relationship with the artists. Later on, some of them started asking me to manage them. It just turned into more of a full-time role. So fast forward to 2014 to 2017, I had 5, 6, 7 artists that I was already working with almost full-time. And then in 2017, I was like, you know what? After I invested in enough pieces where I had 15 blue chip works, I was like, I'm going to make a gallery. So I started making a gallery, and I sold my first Basquiat. So I was like, okay, well, now I have a gallery, and I could continue managing artists and working with artists. So as I continued to work with artists and also have the gallery in 2017, then in 2018, I really launched the Art Plug. I was like, you know what? I want to have my own identity as an artist or as a creative. That way I can control my own market and be kind of like, my own artist. So I started working on creating, that persona as the Art Plug, and as well as continuing on with the collective and just expanding what it really was about. So Art Plug turned into Art Plug Gallery, and the Art Plug. And now the Art Plug is also a creative branding hub. So we do creative tech startups, we do the branding, we do all the color theory for the brand, marketing campaigns, creative engineering, viral engineering, things like that, to help brands kind of either level up or, just basically for a brand to grow and to be different and to have its unique set of how you say, unique set of, I forgot the word, but whatever, to be unique and to stand out a little more, because now it's very competitive. So you kind of need some creative angles in order to have your brand look and feel a little bit more special or unique in order to get ahead.
That's pretty cool, because I got to say this, if we have some artists that are listening to our conversation right now, and they come up to you, say, what do you look for in artists to add to your collective? What are some of the qualities?
Okay. First is longevity. I like to wait. I was just talking to an artist from Italy right now, someone I worked with for 4 years. And a lot of times someone will be an artist, but they're not an artist for 3, 4, 5 years. They're an artist for 1 year. They think they are ready to go, but the reality is this is a very long-term sport. And the relationships that I make, I'm trying to make them for life. I don't want to make short-term relationships. So if I am going to showcase an artist, I don't want the artist, and this I know from experience because I've showcased artists where the artist isn't an artist anymore after a year or 2 years. I'm looking for somebody that is going to be dedicated to their craft, is open to criticism, understands that they need to put a lot of hard work into this. It's very rewarding, but it takes a lot of work, and they have to be in it for a long time. They can't just be in it for a year or two. I look for somebody that's been an artist for at least 4 to 5 years before I even touch it. Yeah.
Those are some really good qualities as well. It reminds me a lot of what I look for, because I have a lot of people who are authors or recording artists and bands that come up to my platform, and I look for things, and I'm like, because of all the time I don't have a lot of time as I gotten older, and so I have to have a bare minimum when it comes to a social media requirement as well. So I totally understand.
Yeah, you have to be 100%. Consistency over time is probably one of the best things to look for. But we're open to anybody. We offer mentorship programs and a lot of stuff else. We still work with you. We'll help give you direction. But to be publicly on the art plug, it takes time. You got to earn that. And, it's not just that. We offer a lot of different types of programs that can help up and coming artists or somebody that's looking to learn a little bit more about the industry. We're happy to do that as well.
Awesome. So in addition to the Art Plug Collective, you also have the Art Plug Gallery as well. And you mentioned that you've had some works from Dali, but you also have some works from our Warhol and Banksy. So can you describe the gallery to my audience?
Yeah, I mean, the gallery is cool because what I love about it is it's secondary market. So like I understand where the market's going. I know that, when the market's hot for Banksy and street art, working with artists that are up and coming, I know the techniques that these artists are using that's hot, and I could take the techniques of let's say Banksy and apply it to an emerging artist because I know how he works on the back end or his collective works, right? Andy Warhol had various techniques. He experimented with mediums like photography, obviously some technical skills like his screen printing, which was something he did very often, and he did a lot of multiples and additions. But yeah, harnessing what the gallery does, which is the big number art and where the real money is, and pushing it into the primary market and teaching artists that are up and coming what the pros were doing. And it's a really cool way to work together. That's why everything kind of ties in. But yeah, I mean, my favorite Andy Warhol work that we have is, the flowers, the FS2 flowers. I love those. They're cool. They're simple. It's like it's a screen print over a screen print. I think it's like 6 or 7 layers, of color on a nice paper. And basically he has different colors of them, and they look great in sets. And then for Banksy, one of my favorites, I can tell you a Banksy story. I had a piece that I got in LA. I had a good deal on a piece. I forgot what I paid for it at the time, but it was the Banksy bomb hugger. So it's a little girl hugging a bomb. So she's literally holding a bomb, right? And I'm packing this piece onto my luggage. I can't ruin this piece because if I fuck this piece up, excuse my French, I mess this piece up really bad. It's a headache. You can't get them again, even though I think there was like 100 made or 150 made. And it was like a pink one. It's pink, black, and white. And I'm carrying this piece in my carry-on on an airplane. Actually, no, I had to check it in, I think. And I'm like hoping. I'm like, man, I hope. I'm like, I don't know why I didn't ship it. It was like an emergency thing. I had to go to the client. I was a day late because I had to pick up the piece in California. But I put this piece of art that was technically the drawing of a bomb on this plane. It was just like a very artsy move. And it was me and my girlfriend packing the piece, putting the piece. It's a flat piece. It's a piece of art. But it was just interesting traveling with that. And then I had to deliver it to the client. It was a really nice piece. So I kind of wanted to keep it. It was so sick. And then besides Banksy, Banksy does his art is supposed, he tries to put people in funny situations. You realize that like some of the art he makes, like the bills, he defaces the money and he makes it like he's messing with you. It's all him having a laugh. That's the whole thing. It's a big joke. And people run around trying to collect it like crazy, and it's just hilarious. Like he's literally making fun of the market, and people are trading it even more. It's insane. But besides Warhol, besides Banksy, who someone I really love, is his work is Basquiat, and his work has inspired so many artists nowadays. You see it a lot. You can see the inspiration in a lot of modern artists. But, but I love his work. I actually sold one of his pieces, a Rinzo piece. It was a print. I can't say who I've sold the originals to. I've only sold two smaller originals in the past year. But the Rinzo editioned work I sold to a basketball player, which is really cool. And I wanted to meet the basketball player. Not that I care about sports, but I was like, you know what? I want to make it extra special. So I flew to Chicago, and I remember he lived on Elm Street, and I went to Elm Street. I'm like, this is so cool, and I delivered the piece to him, and yeah, it was dope. It was dope.
That's amazing.
Basquiat
Those are
Rinzo.
amazing stories. Those are some
Yeah.
phenomenal stories that I know they're going to have more of them. But right now, we're going to start winding down our conversation. So let's talk about what are your favorite social media platforms to interact with people?
Which what? I'm sorry?
What are your favorite social media platforms to interact?
Okay, got it. My favorite ones, so right now, Instagram, even though Meta, Facebook, Instagram, it's just, for me, it seems like it's the most user-friendly right now. I mean, I'm experimented with TikTok, but I think TikTok is more pay to play. I don't think it's like Meta gives an opportunity for everybody, although it does help if you invest in some marketing and stuff like that. Like, so for me, for my eyewear brand, which is this is something I create.
And I love it, by the way.
Italy.
Those are really good glasses.
Thank you. Yeah, they're handmade in Italy, 100%. Nothing outside of Italy. In Modena, where Enzo Ferrari started. But yeah, so like for this page, it's just eyewear on the page. So I put a little bit of money into growing the page, and I started doing that recently, and it helps a lot. It's actually really good to put a little bit of money in advertising. On the art plug page, everything's been organic. I've never done paid promo or anything like that. But I'm thinking about doing that. I think that it could help showcase to open up a new audience and things like that. So I love Instagram. I mean, live streaming and stuff like that. Like, I have a Kick account, but I don't really use it. I like to really X. I don't as well. Not really using X, but I do have it, and I used to be big on it. I used to love it, and I would do all the spaces, Twitter Spaces back in the day when it was Twitter Spaces. Threads, I don't really. If I had to pick between X and Threads, I mean, I would go with X and IG, two completely different platforms. But I mean, I think the key is to focus on one or two and be good at those two, and make sure that you're putting out consistent content once every other day. Otherwise, you kind of just can fall off, and then you have to make sure you always follow the guidelines, because like you could say something that you don't mean in a comment, and someone can get offended, and it could ruin your account. So be very mindful of what you say, how you say it, and what message you're presenting to people when you're on social media, because it's not just there for you, it's there for everybody. And yeah, it's just important to note that.
Awesome advice, and I definitely will, and I definitely think we should all implement that advice on social media. So last question, are you ready? Are you ready, Marcel? Are you ready for the last question?
Yep.
All righty, Marcel. All righty, so where can my audience find out more information about the Art Plug and the Art Plug Collective? And also, where can they find you on social media?
So you can find me at the Art Plug, right? The Art Plug on social media. That's my handle on everything. And then my website, our website, is artplug.com. You can always DM me, and I will write back. If you don't hear from me, shoot me another DM or shoot a comment in the in one of the posts and write check DM. I will check the DM personally, and I will write back to you. And then on our website, you can learn a lot more about some projects that we've done. We have our brand deck on there, so that's like, it's easy for you to see a nice organized visual aid of brands we've worked with. That's also inspiring. You can take a look at it and get ideas for what you can do artistically. And then, yeah, you could always book a session on Minect as well if you want some more advice. We charge per text message, but it's only like $10, not really that much. But yeah, you can also email us at hello@artplug.com, or you can talk to Jacob and then he'll direct you.
All righty. So if you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, visit our channels on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Spotify, and Spreaker. Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Guys, if you want to find out more on my takes on America's Got Talent, The Masked Singer, and all my interviews, visit the blog that started it all, jakes.shake.com. Once again, jakes.shake.com. Marcel, it was such an honor to meet you, and thank you so much for helping me kickstart season 6. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Take
All
care,
righty,
everybody.
guys. Thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great night, everybody. Goodbye.